eModels.co.uk. Make something awesome.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello again, gang. Colin here, Festa 67's workshop. And what have we got for you today? I think we need to do a bit of assembly. So we need to work on this just to bring it up to that level. Okay, so we'll put some guns in, do a bit of gunnage, and then we can get that ready then for some paint. So we'll grab a bit of the old glue and make a start. I'll just grab me nippers. Now some of these little bits will need a bit of dressing up once they go in, but bear in mind this is only the base coat, folks. That's all this is at the moment. Let's just grab the instructions. That would help, Cole, wouldn't it? Yeah, just so that we can start seeing what we're doing on this side. I think I've done the driver's side. Yeah, so I've got a T-shape and a holy one. Yeah, forever going to be known as a T-shape and a holy one. Just grab a sander, give that a bit of a dose of the old sandage, and I've got to put some Worn Effects chipping fluid over all of this. So that's what we're gonna do with that. So not too fast how it looks, don't even worry about that yet, purely and simply because we've got a gun to go in there, in that bit there. I know, hey, big boomsticks and shooty sticks and everything, hey, cool. I'd love to have a go in this. Oh mate, think of the fun Festa could have in this, eh folks? What possibly could go wrong? Eh? Me, Tony and Fox got one each. Just think of the fun we could have on the battlefield, eh? Yeah, I think there'd be generals running, trying to resign their commissions, mate, if us lot got a hold of one of these. Okay, let's get the big kaboom stick off of this one. And another one there. And it's that awkward dilemma at this stage again, as I think I might have mentioned this before. When you get to this stage of a model kit, you always start thinking, oh, I'm nearly at the end, you know, but just get that off of there. And again, I can touch these little bits up. So when I painted these, I kind of ummed and ahed as to whether to keep them on the sprues or not, but for me it was at the time a bit easier to do it that way, so that's what I did. A bit of gunnage to go in there. Okay, so that goes in like that with the sight poking up, just like that. That way. There you go. Let's give that a slight adjustment. Yeah. I must admit, I thoroughly recommend getting these kits if you're thinking of it. And I know a few of you are, because you've been in touch with me, and there are a few of our community that come into the the Monday eModels show and things like that have expressed an interest in getting this kit, and I can't recommend it enough. I must admit, I have really enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to do this little build, to be honest with you. I'll just get the old spudger, try not to knock the camera cold, and just give that edge a bit of a persuasionary tuggage, like so, and then come round that side, because I haven't heard it pop yet. But it's in there, like so. Make sure the gun's up the right way, Cole, didn't you? Yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was my veiled attempt at machine gun fire. Please don't be like Festa. Make your sound effects a bit better than that. Like that. Yeah. So, and then we can just have him slightly at rest, I think, because the dio on this is the Russian guys that are in this tank are parked on the top of an hill in their sort of relaxed mode, should we say. So I think a bit of vodka's been flowing, and yeah, they might be a bit drunk, and they're just sitting there waiting and thinking, right, what can we do with ourselves? I'm just going to pop that out just for a sec. What can we do with ourselves, because we've got a bit of downtime, and yeah, that's what they're thinking. So they're not quite sure what to do with themselves. Let's just give that a bit of a scrape, because that's actually not as round as it looks, that piece. That's it. He will comply, because, as we all know, resistance is futile. Like that. And we'll give that a bit of a touch up when the old, what's his name, goes on. Chip-in fluid, Cole. Losing the name. Yeah. And we'll just make sure that that's going the right way. Yeah, with the sight just off that way round. Like that. And it should pop straight in now. There you go. Like that. Give it a bit of that. Like that. Now that, I think, was quite a resounding pop. And I actually thought these were going to be a bit more movable than they've turned out to be, but with paint and everything that goes on there, I suppose we are being optimistic in the hope that these would move freely. I suppose the guns would have had a bit of droopage had we have gone down that road too far, but still would have been nice to have a bit of movability in them. But oh well, needs must, and all of that. So we'll put a bit of glue on there. I think I might have to make another pot of glue. There you go. Right, so I think I'll have that one pointing to the skies. But that's what we wanted. Like that. There you go. Bit of gunnage See, yeah, some of that. Right, no, I'll keep that pipe in place, but that gives us a bit of character, different angles, and yeah, I like that. So we got that. We've also got this to go in as well. So I think we can slot that one in because that one's finitoed. And we can dig out the old wet palette and start painting the other ones. There you go. And he's got all his ammo in place. The gun's gone a bit drunk in it, Cole. There you go. That's what we want. Like that. Yeah. So we've got the other ones to paint brass yet. So we'll do that. But we've now got sort of a bit of character going on. So yeah, I kind of want things in different angles. Now this is the driver's viewer, in case you're wondering. The gun is at the back on that side, so that they've got 360 degree cover. So one up there, one going over the way, one at that angle and one at that angle, and I think they've got all their edges covered. Just have a move of the driver's viewer because that's a bit bronzed, isn't it? There you go. There you go. Yeah, I want him to be able to see reasonably where he's going, but then driver might be outside having a smoke, don't forget. So yeah, so that's them done. We're happy with that. My pipe's just pinged off my radiator, so we'll put that safely to one side and we'll come back at that. So they're done now. Like so, and we'll grab that little piece off of there. I think that's the muzzle brake off of that gun there. Might need a bit of super glue on that. We'll see. Just to be on the safe side there, because that doesn't look too great. There you go. Pew! It's on there, Cole. I think, to be on the safe side, we'll lean that over there. Whew. Okay, we don't need none of those. So we'll put that to one side. Don't need the glue now. That can go and live out the way, and it's going to be paint time. So when we come back, we'll do a bit of painting. There you go. Like that. Have you a bit of that? There you go. And another bit just in there to get these covered, just like so. There you go. And that's what we want there. All the way like that. There you go. so we can have that. So they're done. So we can put the wet palette away for now. Or have we got a couple of bits to touch up, haven't we? Yeah, we have. So we'll just touch up the bits on the gun. Just to be on the safe side. A little bit of the green in there. Because if I remember rightly, our gun had the sanding stick suitably applied, didn't it? So we want to just quickly scoot along any edges. Again, not worried, because it's getting painted over, but also, you know, maintenance on tanks, you know, they would have just got the pot of paint out and given it a larrapin, so you're going to have a few different textures and a few different areas that may have had a bit of maintenance done. So that's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. Like that. There you go. There's a bit round there as well. Right. Yeah, we do all the noises as well in here, you know. A little bit on the inside. There you go. What have we got there? We've got another bit there. Yeah. See, so old Igor's been round with his paintbrush, see, and he's been in one of his fix this moments, and he's gone round the tank and given it a bit of love, because the tank was feeling a bit sorry for itself. It had the it was feeling a bit unloved, so he's gone and painted it. So yeah. So we'll be back in a minute to start the next stage, which will be the and what am I going to be using? Well, I'm going to be chipping using some AK Worn Effects chipping fluid, and this will be going through my airbrush, and this is the AK-088 Worn Effects, and just put a little bit in your airbrush, spray 2 or 3 mist coats, let it dry, and that's what I'm using for that. That'll then go over with some model colour white over the top of the chipping fluid, and then I'll chip that back to expose some of the green underneath. And then when I come to do the track, that's then going to be stippled with a sponge with some washable white paint, just to give it a bit of texture. And then the skis, I'll have some aluminium model air, and these are all paints that were kindly supplied by my sponsor eModels there. And then there's going to be some wooden deck going on the skis as well. So it's an aluminium frame with then wooden slats on it, so that's going to be going on. And then for the diorama, we've got some track stuff, which is going to be a bit of Russian earth around the tracks, bit of detritus and things like that, as well as snow texture that's going to go on the grass, but also some of this is going on the track as well, just to try and give it a bit of 3D definition, or a thick snow sticking to the dirt. So there's going to be a bit of all of that going on and all. So I'm looking forward to starting the diorama, to be honest with you, because I think it's going to come out pretty good. So that's the paints. I'm going to spray the AK Worn Effects and the white paint in the spray booth. You've already seen that in the previous episode, that set up. So if I do that off camera, we can then focus on the stuff on camera, which is going to be the weathering. Okay folks, so when I come back, it's going to have a bit of white on there, and then we can start getting on with the chipping. Right, I think we are ready to start agitating some of the edges of this with a bit of water. So we're just lightly applying a few places and see what happens. Go, and it's just starting to lift it on the edges, folks. See, like that. That's what we want. Right. Random wear-ins here. Now I'm not going to go too mad. To be honest. Just see what happens with it. And just have at it. And I'll get a bit more round by the hinges there. Like that, there you go. Bosh. A bit like that. There you go. See, just start wearing it around the edges. So we'll start giving this a little bit of a watering around the edge there, like so, and get this little door done, a little dab in the middle there and a bit just to the edge. Probably give this a little soak as well whilst I'm doing the door. This can then start around here, getting a bit aggressive at the bottom there, because round this strut is going to be where most of the wear is, and the same with the gun. Because where the gun's shooting at the enemy's going to be shooting back at the gun. So you're going to have a lot of dingage, bullet holes, ricochets and all of that lot around the edge of the tank there. So we'll come up underneath there and around the reinforcement where the shock absorber goes, and start coming at the edges of this now with the brush. And this is quite a stiff little brush, this one. It's one that came as part of an airbrush kit, and I tend to use it for me chipping because you can bang at it like using a drumstick. You can bang at the surface and it'll leave little dimples and chips in the paint as it flicks the paint off, and I find it's quite an interesting texture that it leaves behind. So I tend to use this one for pretty much most of the chipping that I do, which isn't a great deal if I'm honest, because it's not a technique I've fully mastered. I mean, you know, you want to see quality chipping, you go and have a looky-loo at Ted's stuff, and he does some really nice chipping. And yeah, I'm kind of trying to lean towards that style, but I've got a bit of practice to do yet. But hey, we'll get there. So we'll have a bit of that, and then we'll start coming now at the leading edges of the body of the tank, or the shell half, whatever you want to call it. Plenty of scrapes around the bottom here, because it's going to have navigated itself between rocks and boulders and lumps and bumps and bits of hard ground, and yeah, you got it. Because the driver, you know, he's only looking through that narrow little gap, so he ain't going to see everything on the surface, is he? And he's just going to cane it along there, and judging by the look of this, I don't know whether these skis stayed down or whether they retract, but I can imagine when it gets up a bit of momentum, it's yeah, it's going to leave a bit of damage behind, isn't it? And dare I say it, I think Sergey wouldn't really worry too much. He'd be sort of, well, I've done what I needed to do to defeat the enemy, and that's the mindset. So we'll just come round here, round his little viewing port there, and his really bright light that he's got to see in the dark with. Went all out with that, didn't they? So we'll have a bit of texture going on around now. Just start stippling towards the door, because stuff would have bounced off the track, being that it's rubber, and bounded along the curved surface, and sort of heavier damage would be in the middle and lighter damage would be towards the edges, I would have thought. So yeah, so we'll come at that with a brush. We'll have a little bit of damage around the door frame there, where the door's been slammed more than once, and they've been getting in and out, wearing their backpacks or guns or lobbing stuff in and out of the tank. So there's going to be damage where stuff's been put in through the hatch, like rounds of ammo and things like that, gun boxes, and yeah. So we'll just come at the top of that, give that a see into, because, you know, no doubt as it's been going along, stuff's been thrown at it from above. If it's coming out underneath a bridge or a tunnel and someone's heard it coming, they've had a few rocks or whatever, and they've been standing up there, and, you know, he's on his way, quick, drop something on it to try and stop it. So it would have had all kinds of things done to it, the poor thing. But I must admit, having built this, it looks quite a resilient little thing, even though it's only a what-if subject. You can just imagine something like this actually in the real world, and it's one of them, it gets you thinking, doesn't it? And I've got another one of these in me stash, and I kind of am thinking of perhaps bringing it into the modern world as I've got an idea. I just don't know whether to run with it yet or not, so I'll have a little think about it. But yeah, I've just got this little idea doing the rounds in my mind, and yeah. So we'll just flick this now from the centre, to the outside even, and start doing a bit of damages around there. But it does give it quite an interesting finish, because I've got some long grass to paint on this as well as part of the camo scheme with the box art. There's long grass painted up the side of the tank there to try to blend it into nature. So I've got all of that to do yet, so I'm kind of thinking how best to approach that. So that's going to be coming up in an episode. I'll probably do it with a wet palette and a very fine detail brush, if I'm honest. Wet the paint right down, thin it down as far as I can, and go with that and see what it looks like. So we'll just feather this around the door opening there, bit of water, and then we can start the same process there across the grille, because the radiator's the other side, so there'll be some heat wear around that where the paint's warmed up and bubbled and got hot, and we'll have a bit of dirt and detritus around there as well from where the radiator's been venting some of the smoke from inside the vehicle. So yeah, and then we'll start working our way towards the centre part now of the shell where it joins the track. Around the top of the gun. Ignore the hum in the background. Someone forgot to turn off his compressor for his airbrush, so I do apologise. I'll turn that off in a sec, but I'm in weathering mode, so I'll lean over and grab that in a minute in case you wonder what it is. We can come around the gun support there, around the reinforcing ring, the mounting ring, whatever you want to call it. Give that a bit of wear and tear along the sides of the barrel there, I think, as well, because he's been going down the road. It might have struck at the side of a tree or anything like that, hit something, so we'll have a bit of that going on and on. And then come at that with a brush. A little bit around there. Try and get some of these bolt heads exposed as well. And then just start doing some different line angles of approach and things like that as well, because things are going to hit at different angles. It's going to hit them at different angles and trajectories or whatever, so got all of that as well. But it's turning into quite an interesting little build, this, and I've got ideas in my head on how I want the diode to go with it, and hopefully when it's finished and that you get to see the vision that I had at the beginning. I just saw it sitting on almost like a little grassy knoll with a few rocks and things like that. It's sort of come out of tree cover and it's just sitting there, and there's a little slope and a bit of a river going on or something like that. So I want to try and do something but not go too mad with it, if you know what I mean, because I don't want a massive diorama, because poor old eModels, I've got to try and display this in quite limited space, because Ted's filling all their space up with these big ships and subs that he builds. So I'm being mindful of poor old Pete with his working space. What I'm going to do with this track is most of this grey is going to come off, so the grey itself is almost going to be like a highlight. This centre part's going to have wear where it's hitting the shells, the rubbing of the track, but most of this grey is going to come off, and it's just going to be where the ridges are. It's going to sit in the recesses, because I've got the Russian earth, I've got bits of white paint to stipple on there, and snow and things like that, so it's going to be a right old mishmash of textures. So this is just its initial two coats, or two contrasting colours, to try to give light and shadow. The tank obviously had a rubber track, so it's going to be almost like a large tractor tyre type affair, but I just want to have a bit of detritus in there and a different bit of contrast and stuff showing through, basically. So yeah, put a bit around there where it's been rubbing against the shell. As the track's compressed, it's rubbed around the metal, so it just gives like a black, almost like a tide mark around the edge where it's just been buffing against the side of the shell there. So that'll give that a bit of a definition, should we say. and then we'll come at the track from all different angles and ways and just scrape all the grey back as far as I want to go. And you'll know when you've got there, because you'll start thinking, oh, I don't want to go too far, because it's all going to come off. And that's when you stop, when you start thinking, oh, just a little more. Well, just have a rest, cup of tea and a smoke if you smoke, and then come back at it if you need to. Because that sometimes that 10 minutes away from it, you come back and you go, actually, I think I'll leave it there and stick with it as it is. So bear that in mind, folks. Less sometimes can be more. So I'm just going to grab the edges of this now and really be quite brutal with it and get it how I want it. And then we'll park it then until it's all dried off, and then I'll gloss over everything I've chipped, ready then, because I've got a couple of decals to put on, and then I'll gloss over them, and then I'll paint the grass on, and then it's going to be snow dirt, detritus, bits of rock, bits of gravel, bits of this, bits of that. So we can start putting it in its scene. So I'll probably do the decals and then start building the dio and get the tank sat on it, and then do the whole lot, weather, and see how we look. Try and integrate it and blend it all together, I think. So let's quickly capture this edge like so, and put the tide mark on this side as well, and I think then we'll call that little bit done. I'll let it dry and then go over it with a quick bit of gloss, just to seal everything in before we do the next stage, folks. And we're doing a bit of decaling today, so I just want to see how many of the decals are actually on the outside of this tank, and I think it's only 2 of these guys. So I think, because we've started chipping at the old doors there, I think we might need to do our bad boys a favour and start looking at mounting the doors. So we need to figure out which way round everything's going, so that we get the bits and bobs in the right place. So I think we can safely say that that is that side. So we've got a door going that way on that side. So I just want to make sure that the doors sit right and that we look okay with what we're choosing to be the relevant door for each side. So I think that door looks like it belongs there, like that. So we'll have a bit of that as the first one. So let's get the scissors and start trimming out the decals. So we want the snowman basically with the boxing gloves. That's what we're after. And we'll get him in place, and then we can start looking at doing the final chipping and weathering on the tank. So one of those out of there, get rid of that half, and we want to lose the star. Always keep your old decal sets as well, folks. Any off-cut decals that you don't use on this kit, you could end up wanting to use on another one, so I always keep them. But I also bear in mind that I could scan them and do bits and pieces and play with the designs as well. So they're all scanned, they're all saved, and yeah, that's how I roll basically. So let's bring in me solutions and drop them there, and we're going to put that decal on this side. So I'll just quickly give that a little dip in some water, because I can, on that side, and I'll do the other one as well whilst I think of it, like that, and grab the other tank half and start thinking about the final bits and bobs with the decals. I'll just put me clips down to one side. Excuse me, coughing there. That's the driver's side on that one. So, shall we have a little looky-loo? Now, I did give this door a bit of a gloss coat because I wanted that decal in a certain place, like that. There you go. Just start fanning it out. Here's what we want. There you go. And that is just simply done. Like that. Not going to faff. Not going to worry about it, because there's going to be a few scratches put in it at some point as well. And then the same on this one. Bearing in mind as well, underneath is chipped, but the decal itself is going to have a little bit of wear and tear on it in its next carnation state. So I'll just run that over like so. Bring that over and then just start smoothing out like so. I'm going to let them go off and see how they take. Probably come back at them with a bit of chipping fluid. Might just give them a little scratch, a ding here and there, but that is the decals pretty much on. So let's just drop a little bit of strong solution on there, just to bring out some of the contours and let the decal itself really shrink into place on this. And some of the paint might try to lift off, some of the decal might try to wrinkle up, because it might reactivate some of the chipping fluid underneath. It might not. I mean, I've glossed between the two, but if it does, it does. It's perfect for me because it just lets me chip some of the decal as well. So it's a win-win, isn't it? So that's that done. I think then possibly we could start looking at putting the tyre maybe in place, to start thinking about doing a bit of weathering on it. So I think we'll pop that wheel back in and see how we're looking, I think. If I remember rightly, I just gave it a little ease and squeeze just to get the first one in. There you go. And then it goes under like that. And we start to get the wheels in place like that. There you go. Nice resounding pop as she goes in. Yeah, look at that. There you go. And that is the tyre back on the ball tank. Look at that, folks. It did not make a difference seeing that on there, I must admit. Yeah. Now I can come at her and start figuring out how to put bits and bobs in place, because I've got to put the radiator side in and get that in place. A little bit more weathering on the engine now that I've got the tyre to grip onto, so I can come back at that with a bit of Starship filth. Yeah, so I think once that's started to look pretty rosy, isn't it? Is that the radiator side? Yeah, so that side's going to go on like that. So as you can see already, she's beginning to take shape. So I'm going to pause at that for today. Leave the ball tank to cure. And yeah, we can leave that episode and bid you farewell until the next one, when we can put the sides on and start weathering this little bad boy up, paint the skis with some aluminium and wood deck, and start thinking about the diorama as to where the tank's going to live. So until then, don't forget to pop over to eModels, grab yourself one of these ball tanks if you want to build along with me. They are open for business now and everything's returning to normal, so pop over, have a look at the store, have a browse, slap it in your basket, and I look forward to seeing you next time along. Till then, bye bye for now.